Hello everyone, my name is Jason Bjorklund of the Iowa Golf Association, and in this video we will be discussing the USGA Handicap Formula. While it's not necessary to memorize the formula, it's good to have a general understanding of the principles, so we will go through an example of a handicap index and how it's calculated for a golfer. We will also address the question that you may have heard from a golfer at your club from time to time. Why is there an R following my handicap index? Section 10-1 of the USGA handicap system talks about how to determine a handicap differential. Each time a golfer posts a score, a handicap differential is calculated for that golfer. The formula for the handicap differential is the adjusted gross score minus the course rating of the tees that had been played, multiplied by 113 and divided by the slope of the tees that have been played. In our example here, we'll say the golfer shoots 95, subtract the course rating of the tee, 71.5, and we get 23.5. From there, we take it times the standard slope rating of 113, that number is constant, and finally we take that result and divide it by the slope rating of the tees they played that day, 21.24 in this example. We do round the handicap differential to the nearest tenth. So 21.2 is the handicap differential for a golfer in this situation. A lower score doesn't always produce a lower differential. Here we have three different examples, and the example in the middle, the score with the 97 was the highest. The golfer also shot 95 and 90, but you can see due to a higher course rating and a higher slope rating, the differential is lower than the other two. The 18.7 differential is the best score for the golfer of the three. Once the handicap differentials are calculated for all 20 scores, the best 10 differentials are averaged. We then multiply that by 96%, which is known as a bonus for excellence. Delete the digits after the 10th, and the result is our handicap index. So here we see the example laid out before us. This golfer has a total of 10 lowest differentials equaling 154.8. When we average that, we get a result of 15.48 multiplied by 0.96. Delete all the digits after the 10th, and this golfer's handicap index is 14.8. Ideally, the handicap index is based on the 10 lowest differentials of the most recent 20 in a golfer's score history. If there are less than 20 scores available in a golfer's score history, then less than 10 differentials are used to calculate the index. Take a look at the chart on the right, and you'll see that it takes a minimum of 5 scores in a golfer's score history to be issued a handicap index. If a golfer has 5 or 6 scores in his history, the formula is going to look at the lowest differential and disregard all the others. 10-3 talks about the reduction of a handicap index based on exceptional tournament scores. A tournament score is a score made in a competition organized and conducted by a committee in charge of the competition. The competition must identify a winner based on stipulated round or rounds, and it must be played under the principles of the rules of golf. Routine events, such as regular play days, are not normally designated as T-scores because they're not significant in tradition, schedules, formats, and memberships of the club. An eligible tournament score is any tournament score made within the last 12 months or within the player's current 20-score history. After the player's handicap index is calculated through section 10-2, the procedure we just covered, 10-3 is then looked at, which is the reduction of a handicap index based on exceptional tournament scores. A player's handicap index may be reduced in section 10-3 if a player has a minimum of 2 eligible tournament scores where the handicap differentials of those scores are at least 3.0 better than the player's handicap index that was calculated in 10-2. This process is an automatic function of the USGA handicap system and is performed automatically at your club with the GIN service. So let's take a look at an example. We have a golfer at our club, let's call her Sandy, and her handicap index, after looking at the 10 best differentials of her last 20 scores, turns out to be 24.2. She has 6 eligible tournament scores in her history. 2 are exceptional tournament scores, and those 2 exceptional T-score differentials average 18.2. We take the golfer's 10-2 value, which was 24.2, and we're going to subtract the average of the differentials of the best 2 exceptional tournament scores, which turns out in our case to be 18.2. We know this is a difference of 6. There's a handicap reduction table that is found in the USGA handicap system that we can reference to see what the reduction will be, or if there will be one. Here's a larger view of that reduction table found in section 10-3. And we see again that our difference is 6.0. Remember, Sandy had 6 eligible tournament scores in her history, so we're looking at the column at the top that falls between 5 to 9. And the difference was 6.0. So we'll look across on the chart there, and we see that our number is 1.9 on the graph. This means that her index will be reduced by 1.9, resulting in a new handicap index of 22.3R. Handicap index reductions for exceptional tournament scores is calculated at each handicap revision and may vary from revision to revision. The handicap committee must review all reductions and may increase, reduce, or override a 10-3 reduction. The most common form of reducing a 10-3 reduction would be due to a golfer's injury where they're not able to play how they had prior to an injury. If a player has tournament scores which were not exceptional at the time they were posted, but subsequently became exceptional when their handicap index increased, the reduction is still warranted. A few key points about 10-3. If a player has an R behind their handicap index, it is for a reduction due to exceptional tournament scores. It is not a penalty. It is part of the USGA handicap system formula. A handicap index is not an average. We saw that in section 10-2 when the golfer's 10 worst differentials are thrown out in the formula. We're only looking at the golfer's best differentials. With that in mind, we know that a handicap index is a measure of a golfer's potential. If you have any questions about the USGA handicap formula, please feel free to contact the Iowa Golf Association.